Hello friends, I'm Eris Hassan and welcome back. Today we're going to film around the Jordan River area. You guys see here, this is the Jordan River. To my right, yeah? Maybe not what you guys were expecting, because in biblical times it was a bit different, but this is it. We're in the site that is called Qasr el Yehud, the palace of the Jew, and this is the traditional site, believe it or not, where Yeshua, Jesus, was baptized by John. The scenery was a bit different back then, but we're going to talk about it. Also, by the Jewish tradition, this is where the tribes of Israel crossed through the Jordan River from east to west and entered the Promised Land, the land of Israel. The Jordan River is quite a long river if you compare it to the valley itself. If the valley is about 105 kilometers, the Jordan Valley from the Sea of Galilee, northern from here, to the Dead Sea, that is not too far away from here. We're actually to the north of the Dead Sea area, quite close to it. So 105 kilometers, 65 miles. But the Jordan River in that area is about 220 kilometers in length, 140 miles. And that's because it's a windy river. So the river is actually longer than the valley itself. Um, but this is only a small part of the whole entire Jordan River, because the whole entire Jordan River even goes northern to the Sea of Galilee. Let me explain. We're at the northern border of Israel, and the Jordan River has been, throughout history, one of the water resources of the land of Israel. The snow falling on the Hermon Mountain, the tallest mountain in Israel, falls for about 3 months a year, eventually melts. And as it melts upon the limestone mountain, it seeps through the rock, or the water flows on top of the mount, and then it flows to three main rivers. Or as it seeps through the rock, it comes out as natural springs to three main rivers. One of them is called the Snir, or the Chatzbani, as some people call it. The other one is Dan, the Dan River. And the third one is the Hermon River, also people call it the Banyas. These three rivers eventually connect, and the water that is collected into these three rivers into the Jordan River. Well, we know that the Dan tribe, after settling on the western shoreline, they moved to the north and took over Laish, Leshem, and then they called it the Kingdom of Dan, up north, the northern border of Israel, from Dan to Beersheba. And the river was called Dan as well. So the name Jordan in Hebrew is Yarden, and that is built from two words, Yarad, Dan. What does that mean? Well, it means the water that came down from the Dan River into the Jordan River. So if you ever wonder what Jordan means, now you know, coming down from Dan. So the three rivers connect to the Jordan River, a bigger river, and then that's the upper Jordan River that flows on the mountains from the upper Galilee area and then feeds the Sea of Galilee with its water. So the Sea of Galilee, receiving all the fresh water, is a freshwater lake. When the Jordan River starts at the upper Galilee area, it's about 76 meters above sea level. That's about 230 feet above sea level. But then it starts flowing down to the lowest point on Earth, meaning the Dead Sea. So around here, the level is about 392 meters below sea level. That's 1,200 feet below sea level. You can understand how much the water is flowing in gravity all the way to the Dead Sea area. We're now at the eastern border of Israel, for the Jordan Valley, and especially the Jordan River, always used to be the eastern border. In ancient times, the directions were different, no north, south, east, and west. The eastern direction was known as Kadima, And Kadima in Hebrew means forward. Why is that? Because the longest border of land that we have is toward the east. And your eyes was always toward the east to identify if any enemy was coming your way. That's why throughout the whole eastern border of Israel, we find archaeology, watchtowers, fortresses to protect the land from invaders coming from the eastern side. Today, it's a border as well between us and the country Jordan. After the Six-Day War, the Jordan River became the border after the Jordanians were pushed beyond the Jordan River to the eastern bank. And the western bank of the Jordan River is controlled by Israel. Israel made peace with Jordan in 1994, and the peace agreement stated that the lowest point between the two countries would in fact be the border. And that is the Jordan River, from around the Sea of Galilee, somewhere around there, all the way to the Dead Sea. The natural border is the Jordan River. Southern from here, it's the Dead Sea, and then the land where we have fences all the way down toward, electric fences all the way down toward the Red Sea area. Before 1994, before the peace between Israel and Jordan, this area was closed, this site was closed. We would have landmines all around here, still a lot of landmines that we could find, areas that we could not walk past a certain point because of the danger. But after the peace agreement between the two countries, these sites became open to the public. It took time until they renovated it. And where we are today, this is a baptismal site for a lot of Christian pilgrims coming to the land of Israel, wanting to be baptized where Yeshua was baptized by John, right around here, which is quite amazing. You could still do that. Because of the growth of population in the land of Israel, living in a land that does not have a lot of natural sources of water, the Sea of Galilee's water was so important for the population. So Israel did not allow a lot of water to flow from the Sea of Galilee through the Jordan River and then eventually feed the Dead Sea area. And we built a dam at the southern side of the Sea of Galilee. And because of that, less and less water started flowing through the Jordan River. This is not how it used to be in ancient times. The Jordanians did the same. Their water situation is even worse than Israel. So the three rivers that eventually connect to the Jordan River, the Jarmuk, the Jabuk, and Heshbon, were closed with dams collecting all the water that would eventually feed the Jordan River and eventually the Dead Sea. Do not flow into the Jordan River anymore. And because of that, the Jordan River is a small river today. It's sad to see it, but that's the situation today with the Jordan River. Yeah, the growth of population eventually did that. In ancient times, the situation was different. As we said, in ancient times, the Jordan River had a lot more water. The population of the people in the land of Israel and Jordan back then was a lot smaller. This area was filled with wild animals throughout the whole valley area, coming to drink from the water, eat from the fruits that existed all around. And also the Jordan valleys, the Jordan River would be the road that people took from the north of Israel when they wanted to reach eventually Jerusalem in the high holidays. So, although this is and believe me, it is a very hot area, yeah, one of the hottest areas in Israel, close to the Jordan River, close to the Dead Sea, it would still be filled with people walking through here to the north or to Jerusalem. When the Jordan River is filled with water, it doesn't look like this. The water flows so strongly and no chance of people passing from the eastern side to the west or from the western side to the east. That's why in ancient times you needed miracles. For the tribes of Israel in Joshua 3 to cross through here, the priest would have to enter with the ark. And as they touched the water pushed to the north all the way to Adam, as it's written, and then the 600,000 men, maybe more than 2 million Israelites would manage to pass through here to the promised land. In 2 Kings chapter 2, when Elijah and Elisha passed to the eastern side with his mantle, he hit the water, and then the water made a passageway for them to pass to the other side because the water was so high and the stream was so strong. No chance of them crossing through here. Again, you could not see this today. Today, if I want to head to Jordan, of course I can without any checkpoint, checking my passport. But it seems like with a short swim or a jump, you could reach the other side. Another thing that we could see around here is that the Jordan River is a bit muddy, yeah? And that makes sense because you have a lot of freshwater springs flowing underground into the Jordan River area that has quite a lot of mud. And then it kind of like mixes the water with the mud, especially in times when you don't have a strong stream of water passing through here. So you could really see the muddiness of the water. Still, this is the Jordan River. But was the Jordan River muddy in ancient times as well? Well, we remember the story with Elisha and Naaman in 2 Kings 5, when the general of the army of Damascus became sick, and then he came to meet up with Elisha, the prophet of Israel that could help him. He was told he could help him. And then Elisha told them, come to the Jordan River and then enter a few times and then you would be well. And he came here and he saw the waters. Well, not here. It was northern from here. And he said, well, in Damascus I have much better rivers, bigger ones, clearer water perhaps. Which gives me a feeling that it wasn't clear in ancient times as well, maybe muddy as well. But this is the Jordan River. We read in scriptures that people came to the Jordan River to be purified, story of Naaman, but also John the Baptist would baptize people around here. Beyond the Jordan River would be the area of Shittim, perhaps where you would have schools for rabbis, for prophets. By the way, perhaps this is where Yeshua studied to become a rabbi, spending a few years around here. And perhaps John was purifying the rabbis around here, the prophets, people that learned the word of God, or the people heading up to Jerusalem or down from Jerusalem. But with the stream of water, the strong stream of water, how was it possible to purify people here? Well, I believe that a stream of water was taken from the Jordan River to pools around here, and that's where people would be purified. If they would enter, they would flow with the stream, right? A miracle had to happen for them to cross through here, so nobody would come and enter the Jordan River to be purified unless the water would be taken to safe pools where they could do that. In Judaism, the Jews enter a ritual bath, a mikveh, to be purified whenever it's needed. Now, the laws are very, very clear. Whenever you're impure due to coming upon an impure object, being close to a dead being, if it's an animal or a human, if you had blood, if you're injured, a woman once a month, people that were sick had leprosy, they had to purify themselves. It doesn't mean that you're a sinner. It's just the state that you're in right now. And if you're impure, you could not go up to the temple and take from the offerings. You could not have sexual relations if you're impure. That was the state, a physical and a spiritual state. It doesn't mean that you're a sinner. People were impure all the time. And to get rid of the impureness, they would have to enter a a ritual bath, a mikvah, or an area of water. Now, the laws are very clear where you could enter and purify yourself. The water that you enter has to be living water, flowing water. Water from rain, floods, springs. It cannot be water that is contained and then moved from one point to another. It has to be flowing water, living water. If you think about it, the Jordan River is exactly that. We have the springs or the water coming down from the Hermon Mountain to the three rivers, and then from the three rivers to the upper Jordan River. And then it continues to flow, still living water, to the Sea of Galilee, which in fact is the biggest mikveh in Israel, ritual bath, where you could purify yourself. But that's still kosher, meaning fit. And then from the Sea of Galilee, it flows to the Jordan River. So until it actually enters the Dead Sea, the water is kosher, it's fit, it's good enough to be purified in. And that's why people would purify in the Jordan River area. That's why John purified people here, and that's why Jesus was baptized by John around this area. I'm so happy that this site has been opened once again for us so we could come and connect to what we only read about growing up through our lifetime. And we're here. So except for the heat that is and the sun rays that are quite strong around here, this is the place, a must for everyone to come and see and visit and to connect to, where a lot of the stories from biblical times took place here. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you very, very shortly. Shalom. If you enjoyed it, please write your comments. If you wish to subscribe, please do so. I'll really, really appreciate it, okay? So see you next time. Shalom.